Thanks for joining us, everybody. Welcome back to Beyond the Horizon podcast, episode 7. I'm here with Kody Fairfield and Josh Pagtalunan, owners, operators of CrossFit Anaheim, also my neighbors. So for some of you that don't know, I guess roommates might be a better terminology.
Office right
so
there.
right in here, the studio that we're in, you may or probably did not know this, but I am subleased inside of their gym. So if you want to feel bad about yourself, just work with me, walk through all the gym equipment, come to work, and don't put in a workout that day, and it will do the trick. But I'm right on the other side of this wall from Josh. So we come to work in here. He pumps iron, and I stroke computer keys. But anyways, so we're in here today. I'm excited to get a chat going.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it'll be a pretty unique conversation because there's a lot of dynamics going on here. It's the first 2 guest appearance that we have.
Nice, set records.
Yeah, kind of good. But so how do we jump into all of this stuff, right? You guys own a business together.
Mm-hmm.
That creates a whole interesting dynamic. So I'm just curious if we could go back to, like, I know some of the story, but I know there's pieces that are missing. So tell me a little bit, like, how did you guys come to getting into CrossFit and knowing each other, and then all the way to the point of, like, owning and operating your own CrossFit? It's a franchise, right?
CrossFit HQ is a franchise, and then we are like a subset of their franchise. But our brand, CrossFit Anaheim, is its own standalone piece.
You're affiliated with CrossFit,
Correct.
the real thing, right? We don't have any
Correct.
problems here. They're not stealing. They really are.
No,
CrossFit.
we're paying. Our
pay
membership
an
dues are
affiliate.
current.
All right, perfect. So who got into CrossFit first?
I did. So used to coach. My first coaching job in CrossFit started in 2013 at a gym called CrossFit Anaheim, which was actually like 2 miles from here, if even. Like, where was it originally?
Farther than that?
But, I started in CrossFit in 2011.
Yeah.
And then I was just an athlete in a gym in Yorba Linda for like a couple years. Moved to Wisconsin, came back home, and then got my credential to coach. Started at CrossFit Anaheim West, again, just down the road from here. And 2 years after that you joined? About 2015, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you kind of tell that in timeline. And
Yeah. I started in 2013 in Torrance, and then I couldn't take the commute anymore. Loved the community there, and then had to find a gym that was more local to me since I lived in Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
And then so went to Anaheim CrossFit West in 2015. Right. So now our timeline's caught up. And then first coach I met.
he loved me.
Didn't particularly like him, but also didn't
like me at all.
Didn't know him too well. But
It was one of those things, like, at first glance, you're like, I don't like this guy, or did he give you a reason not to like him?
Yeah, just the total being of it. I was just like, But then I realized that he was me.
Yeah. So I would have been like 24, 25.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was very, like, headstrong in what we were doing, and there was a right way to do it, and, like, I wasn't a fan of, at that time, like, a lot of classes were just kind of run willy-nilly. You didn't really have structure to it. Coach just kind of made things up on the fly. And then you get in my class, and it's like there's structure. It's rigid. There are rules. You're doing things the right way. And there were certain people who were just like, I kind of like the free-for-all method. There's no stress, no pressure, which is kind of funny because CrossFit Torrance wasn't a destructured place, but Josh, I think, was like, I want to go relax now and not have to worry about commute and all those things, and comes into my class. And I didn't know he didn't like me. So then I thought the whole time that he did. So then I would just, like, I have a tendency that when I build relationships, like, it just turns into one of those things where you're getting razzed all the time. Or, like, if I like you and I trust you, then I'm bringing you into the jokes, and I expect to take, heat in my direction too, which doesn't help when you don't know somebody doesn't like you. But at some point he came around.
You're just, like, setting yourself up.
Oh yeah, it was
all the time.
constant,
Right.
like, just building. If you stack firewood to then throw in the fire, I was chopping the tree, stacking the firewood, and throwing it in the fire all at the same time. But yeah, it really came down to structure, which I think is kind of, even though at that time he wasn't happy about it, was really kind of where the relationship started to come together when he saw the result of that structure, where the gym was headed. and then we got to work personally on some things for the gym when he became, what was the title? Community
director.
Yeah, community director. So he was in charge of like helping with events, and I'll let you tell.
But he was also the impetus of why I wanted to become a trainer. So, you know, with the structure and everything like that, I ended up, you know, creating a bond and making sure that, you know, like as a mentor, coach, that he trained me right to get me set up to get my, you know, training certificate.
Yeah. It was awesome. And then as he became the community director, it's really when the gym kind of, at that time, like took off. We were probably at least once or twice a week getting everybody together, and we had these events. And I alluded to a blooper reel that I had there when we were shooting our
I have it.
We'll have to, it's profanity laced, but basically the CrossFit has this open where everybody worldwide is doing the same things, and inside of our gym, Josh built this scoreboard and like rules and how we basically used that event for people who knew they weren't going to go to the games or go to the next level, to build community around. We did 3 teams. Everybody, no matter what level or expertise inside the gym, got to participate and kind of gave you something to do along with just going through the workouts. Put together was phenomenal, but through that time we got to work together. He asked me to cut the videos though, and I don't do well scripted. I can do free flowing conversation any day of the week. You put me behind a script, and
What do I say? Just say what you say.
Yeah, yeah. So it was like 40. It was like a 45-minute reel. It felt like shouldn't have been
of just bombs.
So we'll have to share that at some point, but. Yeah, we got to work closely together, and I think that's where the structure and stuff started to make sense. And I think as he says, kind of inspired the like understanding behind that, and just like a true friendship came out of that to where like we were at the gym together all the time at that point.
Yep. Yeah, we had the opportunity to go to the games in Wisconsin. The owner had taken us over there, and you know, from there we kind of had this kind of pipe dream that wouldn't it be cool to run a gym together? Not so much own it, but just run a gym.
Yeah,
right.
Kind of like how we were doing, and we had this kind of plan in place and just all these ideas and concepts. But what had transpired to that over the years as we kind of like went our different ways, we came together back at a corporate job for 3 years, and through that we just gained a lot of knowledge, and from there we separated again to do our own thing, but there came a Facebook ad at the end of
where everybody buys their CrossFit gym.
Like Marketplace?
Yeah. Okay. So like the end of 2023, it just came across my Facebook feed, and I was like, what is this and why am I seeing it? The first person that I immediately called was Kody. I was like, hey, you want to go buy a gym?
And when he says the first person he called, it was like 11 o'clock at night. And I don't know what I was doing in the garage. I just remember picking up the phone. I was like, oh, Josh, come. I picked it up. And, hey, you want to buy a CrossFit gym? I was like, well, hello. And what are you talking about? He said, oh, well, on Facebook Marketplace. And I was like, well, are you sure it's not a scam? Like, who sells a gym on Facebook Marketplace? Like, that's odd.
Right.
And if you dig hard enough, you can find like jets and things too, apparently. But we I was like, I don't know. I got to ask my wife. So I stuck my head in the house, and I literally was just like, Kat. She's like, what? And I was like, can I buy a CrossFit gym? She's like, I don't care. So I don't know how seriously she took it at that moment.
Yeah.
I don't know how seriously I took it in that moment. But then it snowballed, and what we didn't share is in relation to CrossFit Anaheim West. CrossFit Anaheim was like the original space in Anaheim. You can no longer start a new affiliate with the city name because it creates an SEO
any
issue.
City or just in
any? No.
Yeah, because rule. It's an SEO challenge, right? Like if you go in there and you own that name, anytime somebody says CrossFit Gym in Anaheim, you've put my entire business name in. I'm going to pop up first no matter what I do, regardless of the SEO. Mm-hmm. And so that presented a unique opportunity. And
so you're grandfathered in though.
Yeah. Okay. We have the name. If the name already existed, exactly, you can't lose it. They can't take it from you because it's something you legally own already.
Right.
Which is what made that a deal. And I remember telling Josh, I was like, look, that name alone, that doesn't matter necessarily what the business shape is. Like that's a thing you can build off of because you can't do it anymore. And Anaheim's 330,000 people. So it was like those two metrics alone made sense. Mm-hmm. And every time we've kind of taken a step in this direction, I think my exact wording to Josh is if the numbers make sense, right? And not even knowing what those metrics look like at that point, We ended up kind of doing as deep of a dive as we could, and everything made sense. And that was like this time 2013.
Yeah, about 60 days.
Yeah, it was about 60 days, and then all of a sudden
2023,
excuse me. Yeah.
Okay.
And then 6 months later, March I think we closed. April was first operational control of that year, and here we are. I'm about to be 2026.
Yeah.
So it's
I don't know where in the list of people, but I was somewhere on that list of people that I got the phone call that you were buying a gym. Also, for those of you who don't know, Kody has dual roles. Part owner in CrossFit Anaheim and a licensed financial advisor and insurance agent at Policy Engineer and Asset Engineer working with me. So essentially his business partners on that side.
My boss is on this side.
Boss and partner.
But I sublet to you.
Right? Yeah, but
so
he sublets to me. So we pay rent to him every month. It's like there's a lot of moving parts. Just lots of trust here.
Yes. Tons of trust.
There you go. Yes. Working together.
Yeah. Networking, right? It's the name of the game always.
For sure. So I'm curious, why CrossFit? Not maybe like you got into it. I know it was super popular at one point. Being an outsider, I've heard many different things, right? Just like anything that gets popular, you got people who are on the bandwagon, people who are like bashing the bandwagon, people who don't understand it.
Yeah.
So it's had its fair share of like publicity, the sport itself and how it's kind of evolved. But why the CrossFit in itself first, and then like why go into business in CrossFit? There's a lot of gym/fitness like ways to make money and membership and all that stuff. So what is it about CrossFit that sets it apart?
You can answer first. Yeah.
So I mean, I'll start with a personal consideration first, because when I stopped playing competitive sports after high school, tore my rotator cuff in my shoulder, planned to play again, never happened. I was missing that like itch to be competitive, but not necessarily in a matched kind of way, but just like something that itched or scratched that itch for me on a daily basis, because that's what helps keep me motivated. But I had also dealt with some mental health things, and what I recognized was that the more that I exercised, the easier those mental health things were to kind of navigate. And I had a roommate at that time who, when I was working out at LA Fitness or 24 Hour Fitness, would just make fun of me because I'd come into the garage and I'd start doing things that were like CrossFit related, but they weren't CrossFit. And he had just started coaching, and one thing led to another. And I had heard all the same things that people do. It's like, oh, injury rates, and it's stupid, or, it's not real, whatever your critiques are. I had heard them. That's kind of what I regurgitated to my friend. And so he's like, just try it. If you don't like it after that, then I'm never going to bother you. Like, okay. I think I came in like July of 2011, and I signed up after my first week there, after the free trial, and I have not had a discontinued membership since that time. Through CrossFit, more importantly, not just on the health side of things, in terms of being in the best shape, best body awareness, best like just understanding of what my body is capable of, but I've met dozens of personal friends who I still have relationships with. I've met business mentors. I've met networking. I've met my wife. I've met, obviously, Josh, my business partner, people that I trust closely now. And all of that is because I bought into not that CrossFit is this one-size-fits-all thing, but what CrossFit is fundamentally is community. And that was the thing for me that always stuck out. It's the community is going to give you opportunity for adherence, for compliance, for motivation, but also for business, friendships, personal relationships. Like all of those things are there if you allow it to do what it does, outside of just the initial, obviously, fitness benefits or the health benefits that come along with it.
So is it community so much because it's taught in like a class format, opposed to like LA Fitness, or you just go and everyone's just working out randomly on machines, opposed to?
Well, I want to speak to the community aspect because that word gets thrown out a lot, especially now. I want to be able to bring it back towards a culture and ethos more so than a community, because everybody has a community within their space. There's so many different offsets of training, training gyms that offer something similar, and the community is inherent within that that business model. But the ethos and culture of what CrossFit is, and bringing it back to why CrossFit versus anything else, is that there's a certain mindset that comes with the training, and the fitness, like Kody said, is the byproduct. But you come for the fitness, but you stay for the community.
Right. Really
is a different mindset than any other training methodology that I've done before. And 8 years prior to CrossFit, I was doing Muay Thai, and didn't find that community until I came to CrossFit. So nothing wrong with that training methodology. I loved it, and I actually want to go back to it at some point, minus the getting knocked out and stuff like that. But
and the shins.
and the pain.
Yeah. I think that's a fair point. That fiber that actually connects, like, network is not anything unless you're like-minded, right? And so that's I think the point you're making is that the like-mindedness of people to be willing to put themselves through something that's a little uncomfortable to make yourself a little bit better today for tomorrow, right? I think it's a life skill that transcends everything. I think I would attribute that to even my work ethic with you guys and being able to understand the vision of long-term goals. And I mean, I didn't start in the FA or the series license role. I started in customer service and trusted, that where I was headed with the training and things that you guys gave me. But all of that is understood better because fundamentally my mindset is a little bit better today means a little bit better tomorrow. And this community embodies that when it's done the right way. Okay.
Well, it's pretty awesome. I'm going to make a commitment that I'm going to
all right, let's go.
Participate. I get my fundamentals on the calendar. I've been saying that for a little
bit.
Okay, so I have had my rear end handed to me multiple times in business, okay, where I own and operate with Chris, my brother, financial services, like brokerage, right? We were in the business for a long time, being practitioners out there doing the retail side, helping customers. And we were good at it. And that doesn't always mean you're going to be good at operating the business that creates the retail side. And we've had a lot of trials and tribulations and financial devastations in the process of like really learning and understanding this. So I want to sort of hone in on that. Like, for someone who's maybe considering whether it be a gym or a franchise or, where you have this dynamic of building your own brand and your own business around something, but then maybe even having to work within the rules and regulations of a bigger entity, which I think you guys kind of have to juggle both sides of that, right? So I don't know, tell me a little bit about, like, you go into this probably excited, you get this opportunity, you're going to own a gym. Did you go right into it and it was just like as easy as doing the classes and coaching the people who come, or was it a whole new bag of worms you had to like learn and teach yourself? Like, how's that been?
I think for us, the first 2 years, we took a completely like growth oriented approach at what we needed to do. But I think when we got in there, the first things that we just really needed to identify is just fix the small things that we've seen over the years of us collectively being in different spaces, in different gyms and training at different gyms, of what we could do to improve the experience, the class experience, but just the onboard experience to someone new coming on board, and really just selling them on this training methodology versus any other.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to that point, it's the fundamentals, right? Like, you have to be redundant, you have to fundamentally understand the fundamentals of the business consideration before you can really understand what running a business is. I think in the CrossFit space, you have a lot of these people who have a gym, it's floating by, but it's not necessarily ambitious the way a business should be. And so they're just like, if I can make sure I pay my rent, if I can make sure that the doors stay open, then, the business is fine. But that leads to kind of what we see when we're planning for people, and that, like, they don't have an exit strategy. There's no way to figure out how the place operates without them. And so it leads to this pinch where it's like, how long do I bear this weight that just carries me? And when Josh and I stepped into this, we committed to, like, the first 5 years are going to possibly feel like that, but it's because we want to push the gas pedal and understand where we want to go and what we want to create. Not just open the doors, let people come work out, and then go home and wonder why we're in the same place we were 5 years later. So poor Josh. So taking a step back, when we worked at this corporate job, Josh and I had never worked professionally together. It had already been like we work and we're working alongside each other, but there's no real rules to like how we have to work. That was the first time where it was like he had his role that was in his lane. I was in the sales department under the vice president, and then I had my lane. And for the first time, we got to see like how we function with kind of like those rules and regulations around us. And so he had an idea of like how I operate, but I think it was different then when we were back in the Wild West. Now that I had experience and I had navigated these waters and like understood how to be productive in it. And when we started talking about that vision, I think he understood exactly what I was saying. He didn't understand how fast I was willing to run. And so for like the first year and a half, I felt like it was like, hey, we have this opportunity, let's take it. And he's like, okay, cool. Like, okay, cool. And it just kept saying that to the point where we went from 20 members when we bought it.
36.
36 with Open Gym. And then built that to like 75, to then in the next 6 months after we kind of stabilized all that, to then purchasing a second location, merging those things together, putting ourselves in a new building, new equipment, new floors, everything, which is this building we're in today. And poor Josh probably felt like if you've ever gone to a lake and you've skied and the boat didn't know you fell, but you are holding onto the handle for dear life. That's kind of the way I felt like Josh maybe didn't anticipate how fast I'd drag it.
So you're saying you just drug him through the water and didn't look back?
Basically, it was like, hey, Josh, you good? And then like a thumb up in the air from out of the water as he's trying not to be waterboarded behind the boat. But again, that kind of goes back to the trust conversation, and that like Josh got to see the results of what I was able to do there, and that allowed us to not have the internal conflict to sit there and go like, do we think we can do this? We were both under the assumption we could do it. The question is, how do we do it? How do those pieces fall in place? But in terms of getting into it, I think, to go back to my original answer, it's the fundamentals. You have to know what are the primary reasons the business drives. And are you thinking about it as a business, or are you thinking about it as a toy that's cool to have and keep the doors open and then stick in the same place? And for us, it was always about, this is a business first. Yeah. We have to make sure that our coaches are treated well, the staff is treated well, because that's what treats the members well. So as an ownership group, we take care of our staff, and the staff, because they're taken care of, take care of your people, and that builds a community that want to invest in the places and things that you're doing and where you're going.
Yeah. So I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but across a lot of spaces where you can do this just as an individual, like a hobby, right? There's a lot of businesses out there that were hobbyists that wanted to like make money from the hobby, right? And so whether that's like, I've seen it in like auto sports, right? Like, oh, I want to ride motorcycles or
I did
race
a DJ.
cars, right?
Yeah.
You did it in DJing?
Yeah.
So you're like, it's a hobby. I like doing this, but maybe I can find a way to like fuel the expense and then do it and make some money from doing it. That is a different mentality than going into business, right? And being like, I'm going into business to build something, to create a valuation, to have an exit, or to whatever, right? Do you think that the gym space is more full of people, or specifically CrossFit, true entrepreneurial business owners who want to use the platform to create thriving businesses? Or is it more CrossFitters who go, wow, that'd be cool if we could make money and then still do CrossFit type of thing?
I definitely think that in its inception, there was a lot more people like that, athlete first versus business. That's why you see a lot of our industry being mentored in that space of, you know, of trying to make sure that they understand the numbers first versus just being an athlete and loving the sport or loving the training. And then just, you know, trying to make sure that, like Kody was saying, just keep the doors open.
Yeah. I think, I mean, back in 2012, 2013, when it was like the peak, it was like 2013 to 2017-ish is like the peak of popularity of CrossFit. And it was like Starbucks. There was a CrossFit gym on every corner. Plus, it was a lot more cost effective to do brick and mortar, right? The hard part that we've seen is the economy shifted, and as you've oversaturated the market space, you're seeing the gyms that don't understand their underlying fundamentals of the business start to fall away because they never made it an intent to understand that part of what they're doing. It was just that toy that they had that their friends could come hang out at and they could build community, they could do the things, but it was costing them something else. And I think nowadays you're starting to see the gyms that are still around that are moving in a positive direction in the face of rising costs, in the face of more people kind of being dissuaded to do it because there's other things out there to do, or in the face of like access to more fitness related things on the internet, just on your phone. The businesses that are still around are going to be people who understood how to know when there's an emergency in your business, how to address that emergency and then get yourself back right, or how to navigate the financial side of it to say, how do I protect myself against these emergencies ahead of time so that when something happens, the members aren't the ones paying for it. I'll be the one to kind of navigate that space behind the door so that we can stabilize without, causing tumultuous waters where people are like, oh, this business is not operating the way I thought it was, and now I got to go find something more sustainable. But I definitely think now you're moving away from the cool, I own a gym, to I'm going to run this like a business because financially we have to now with the cost.
Yeah.
So how do you guys separate your duties? Like who does what?
So I am all behind the scenes for the most part, which was intentional just because obviously with my role with you guys, it's a lot harder for me to be on the ground all the time.
Right. That was a trick question.
Yeah. He's just fishing for information to make sure.
Yeah. He's like, I teach classes on Tuesdays and Fridays from 12 to 4. I'm like, wait, you were clocked in.
I know. I'm closing deals all throughout that now. So I'm handling a lot of the financial side, given obviously my role with you guys. It's given me a leg up to kind of understand those metrics. And then I'm handling a lot of the coaching staff relationships in terms of like, are we making sure that they're receiving the education they need? Are the standards being held? How we created those standards, because those are all things I had personal experience in. And Josh is doing what Josh does best, which is he's the face. He's the guy that's in the gym. He's the one that everybody knows. He's the one that builds the community, that checks in on people, that builds the personal relationships. And there are very few people who I know who have a skill set like that to do it so quickly. And so where we always talk about like this split ownership, Josh is like the heartbeat of everything going on here. I'm just the one that has to be the cold, emotionless, look at the numbers or the output and be like, we need to make a change. And then I have to tell Josh to lower his heart level a little bit because he cares so much. Yeah. So that sound about right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm out there every day. I do a lot of the fundamentals now that we're in a place where so many beginners and so many people that still don't know about CrossFit are coming in to discover what it's like. And we have a good staff to be able to provide those when I'm getting super busy. But, it's always being able to make sure that I know each and every person that comes and walks in through that door and being able to check in on them through me going and taking classes with them or whatnot. But
Yeah, well, I could say you're a practitioner. I mean, I see you out there dripping some days. I just run out. There's no one there. And the square footage of the gym is pretty good size, right? There's no one in there. There's music cranking. I'm like, somebody left the music on. And then you turn in the corner and you just see Josh just like dropping dumbbells or barbells or whatever. And so you're hitting it for sure.
Yeah.
What about the dynamic between the two of you? Like where do you butt heads? Where have you had to
we butt heads all the time. I don't think anything has changed over the last 10 years.
No, the difference is now we like each other when we butt heads versus before he just didn't like me.
Right. So can you tell when he's telling the joke and just razzing you versus actually like trying to?
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's really where the trust level came in. And Josh and I have had our own like personal, obviously it's been since 2015. We're going on 15, 16.
10 years.
10 years. Yeah. I can't do math. Sorry. I'm
like,
a FA. Can't do math. That's fun. I always tell this joke that I can't do simple math anymore. Like the 5 + 5 are the things that throw me off now. If you give me a different calculation, anyway.
It's not even the double digit numbers. The 5
no,
and
it's
5.
like if I actually just need a calculator to type 2 buttons, I have problems.
Yeah.
Which is just dumb. But anyway, no, I think through our decade of friendship and things like that, we've gone through personal things and whatnot that really have allowed us to build a trust level that like we have a fundamental understanding that what a friendship isn't being a cheerleader for the things that you do not to hurt somebody's feelings, but what a friendship is to be able to say the things that need to be said when they need to be said to better both of us. And I think that's kind of where we have had the most success over anything, is that I am typically overly analytical, cold, and short and to the point. Josh is very heartfelt, emotional, and feels his way through text messages. And so,
you ever see that Key and Peele skit where you're just like texting and it's just a normal text, and the other guy's getting, or was it Peele that was just like, what?
Yeah, he's like angry,
like,
reading.
You want to come over?
Emotion.
You want to come over? Yeah, I'll come over.
I haven't seen that skit, but I know what you're
check it
talking
out.
about.
It's
right?
the
'Cause
best.
You get to
It's like me. There's
perceive-
like me, and then there's like Kody, who's just like, oh, it's cool. And I'm like, oh, it's cool, huh?
He's like, oh, you're so short. Why are you being short? What are you like reading into that? And so there are times where it's like I can feel things coming through a text. I was like, why are you doing that? Like, knock that off. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we so emotional over this? And he's like, I know. Or so, stuff like that. But at the same time, like, it reminds me I need to have a heartbeat when going into some of those conversations, when I'm talking with people, and when like I can't look at everything like cold numbers. And I think separating our roles and understanding how those two things operate in our business also has led to success. Is like we understand where our skill sets are, and how to use those in our roles inside the gym.
But did it just happen, or did you guys have a breaking point where you're like, okay, look, like you're emotional, I'm like this, like we got to be able to read each other, or you just slowly mesh? Like I imagine there are, like Chris and I are brothers owning a business. One realization that we had at some point was that we were trying to do everything together. Right. And so we were like in every meeting together, and we were talking about everything together, and there was almost no like autonomous decision making because we were just involved in everything, partially because we both were excited and wanted to be part of building in like all these different aspects. But then we realized like this is a waste of time, and we do have our strengths. And so we had to make a clear separation. That was like, hey, you make decisions and do things here, I'll do things here. And then we can have these kind of macro overarching conversations where we're like, okay, what is the other person doing and why are we doing it? So that we had to have a point, because it was like, we both were in the meetings. We'd both want to make the decisions. We'd both talk through it. Sometimes no decision would get made because there was no agreement. And then we just realized, okay, divide and conquer. You do everything here, you do everything here. If one person feels adamant the other person is making a really bad choice, we're obviously going to step in and share our opinion. But like, there was never anything where you're like, hey, we're changing things. You guys just meshed well.
I think in terms of us identifying our lanes, and I said in the beginning, because I did what he did back at our corporate job, and I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to, give this a try in terms of just focusing on being front facing, and him back of house. And then we set and aligned our culture in terms of coaching and whatnot, and then he had carried out that plan.
I think it came down to, we both knew each other well enough to go, if we're doing this is the way it looks. And then obviously it comes down to, I've always told Josh, like, I mean, just for clarity, like, we're not an even split on the ownership level. Josh is the primary owner, just because I've got so many other things going in my life. I gave him that role because it's important that in the end of things that somebody is going to make the final decision. And it should be the person who's most involved. And so in that circumstance, Josh knows he carries the hammer for every decision that he wants. And I mean, in some ways, we laugh, because sometimes he'll say, like, my wife's name is Kat, and there are times he'll text me, he's like, I'm being like Kat. And I was like, yeah, like sometimes I feel like I'm in 2 marriages. But it truly is kind of that consideration. You have to be able to go into it like a partnership and remember when there's conflict, like the boat is going one direction. You can't make it go 2 directions. And so either you get back on the same page to go, everybody wants the same thing, which is the boat to go forward. Is what I'm looking for the boat to go forward, or for me to be right? And I think that has also helped. And especially in the misweighted relationship where Josh does carry the final decision, I think a lot of times he'll trust the systems that we have in place to make the right decision, except for the places where he's adamant that that's not the case. And I know when I get adamant pushback, then that's a place that, like, he is set on what's going on there, and that's fine. Like, I'm not even going to sit there and address why or how. It's just, I'm now going to trust and fall in line. and I think that's kind of what you're describing too with you and Chris, is that there has to be an hierarchy. And that hierarchy means delegation of roles, which means that in certain places, you're going to make the final decision or he's going to make the final decision. But when those decisions are made, you can't be second guessing the decision. You have to just kind of like,
see where it goes.
Yeah, you see where it goes. Every choice you make is excuse my language, is a shit sandwich. You just pick the sandwich you want to eat that day, and then you deal with the consequences. They could be bad, they could be good, but you can't know until you make a decision. And I think so many people get lost at that indecision point. They're just unwilling to make a choice. And because you're unwilling to make a choice, you never change the problems you're navigating. And then you never move forward. So you're just stuck in analysis paralysis.
Yeah, I don't think we would be in the place that we're in now if we weren't in partnership together, because he was the one making the decisions of going, we just got to pick. We just got to, choose. Yeah. And I'm like, nah,
I need more time.
Yeah, I don't know about
we
that.
Don't have time.
It's like, just like, let's go. And
starting the boat, and then he got dragged.
Yeah, right. I think if there's anything, learned through the course of this journey, is really being able to just make a decision and not be either fear-based, because fear doesn't make money, right?
Mm-hmm. Scare money don't make money.
Scare, yeah.
Are there any decisions you made that you look back and you're like, we had to go through a lot of challenge because of it?
Our biggest one. Our biggest one.
What's your biggest challenge you guys have faced? Or biggest mistake?
This building that we're in.
Yeah.
I think the hard part with CrossFit is it's not this same metric, because so many people ran it like the thing they owned that was cool versus a business. When you enter conversations with other gyms that like they have a strong community, and we understood how to do the membership part, but what's hard to do is evaluate the business piece. And then when you're going to take on that business, how do you qualify how the business is doing? Because we knew that at 30 members at this other place, we were fine, because that the cost of business there was so low, and the building was a shoebox. So it was like, it wasn't super expensive, but we knew the vision we had was going to demand significant revenue, was going to demand significant business presence. And what that meant was we were going to have to take risks somewhere. But again, not being able to perfectly QC what you're looking at on multiple fronts. Mathematically, like, how do I evaluate the contract status of members of another building or gym? How do I validate that I think those contracts carry over if we change the branding? How do I know whether or not the cultures will combine? Because you have two different locations who have two unique cultures, and we're going to try to mesh them together into one building. Do those people get along? Does the structure and the management, the way that the business is run, mesh? And are those people, like Josh did when he came to my class at first, have like a culture shock of like, I don't like this amount of control. I want to be able to run the gym as a member, so that the business just exists as my play toy that I can come into and throw my weight around and get the decisions I want the gym to do done. Those things are really hard to qualify. So when we went into this purchase of the gym called 1886 out in Orange, all the fundamentals we could tell were good. What we couldn't predict is how the community combination would adhere. And we ran like, we called it catastrophic numbers, just to say like, where do we need to be to break? And I think initially when we made the transition, everything looked stable. And then as a little bit of time went on and our programming changes and all these other things came in, you'd see members just like trickle out and away, because so many people had been running gyms as just keep the doors open, meant they had been running at bare bones pricing, which meant that you get poor coaching, you get poor equipment, because you can't reinvest in the business. And we just knew that was never going to be us. We wanted to make sure that we had the top coaching staff in the city, if not the county, if not the state. We wanted to make sure that we had equipment that validated that our coaching staff was good, because you can't have broken barbells and a good coach. You can't lift. There's nothing to do with your good coach if you can't apply it. We wanted to make sure they were educated and do all these things, which all of that stuff cost money. But the industry had so built into people's heads that it's a dollar cost evaluation as a member. Where can I get the cheapest deal for the most benefit? And that change scares a lot of people away.
But that's not regulated. It's not like all CrossFit is in this range. You do whatever you want.
CrossFit is very like, you pay for the marketing side of it and the branding side of it, but other than that, they're hands off. And so we knew we weren't going to be the cheapest facility, but we were going to reward everybody by the value and quality of the things they got to use. And there were a handful of people who saw it, and there were some that didn't. And that's okay. We just didn't anticipate how fast the shift would happen, which meant that like for 2 or 3, 4 months we had to scramble. And we're still kind of working our way out of that hole. A lot of that has come because we brought in a business mentorship group that's been phenomenal in terms of the speed and capacity of which they helped us kind of reset that floor and the amount of support that they offered. Josh is the one that deals with them primarily, but just having that mentorship in here to sit there and say, here's how you need to restructure your numbers. Here's how you need to reorganize this. And even they would tell you, you guys are going to be fine. You just have to get past this period because you guys know your numbers better than 90% of the people they see.
Yeah.
We had systems, like every business has systems, whether it's CRMs and things like that. We had people who were selling weighty packages that are supposed to be like full gym software, everything you need, who were telling us they didn't know how to deal with us because they don't have clients that actually deal with the problems or know their systems as well as we did. And so they were selling something they didn't know how to operate because there were just too many gyms that wasn't an issue for them. So they just never made an expertise in it. And so that's kind of, we jumped into that without being able to really test the water on how clear it was. And it turned out to be a little muddier when we moved it over. That led to some late nights and some stress. And we're getting through it, though. And that's the cool part about it, is to see that, like, we're on that hump of, like, about to go back to the place where everything's growing and everything's moving in the right direction. And the members are happy. The culture's happy. Josh is happy. That's the big piece.
Yeah. Well, that matters. You're the heartbeat of the business.
Thank you.
Right. So talk to me about new people. Like, I feel like CrossFit is intimidating. I mean, even walking in and out and seeing stuff that's going on in here, right? And dumb barbells dropping and boom, boom, like bombs going off on the other side of a wall, right? The whole thing seems kind of intimidating if you've never
Absolutely
been into it. This is not like an aerobic class, right? How do you get a person to come in and feel comfortable in what at first glance is like, this is like a gym war zone. Like, I don't really know like what's going on. Like,
I think a lot of people really come in with the initial thought that they could just come in and get after it. But after their trial class, like, it's really hard to convince them on first glance. Like, they're going to call in and go, hey, I'm really excited. I want to go try it. And then I give them the two options. One, they can come in and do a personal assessment and consultation workout where we put them similar through a group class. And then, it's a one-on-one, right? Where they could just stop altogether and be like, wait, hold on a second. Let me catch my breath and stuff like that. Whereas, they're more excited to do the free trial class option and then just like and then get thrown in the gauntlet. Get thrown in the gauntlet.
I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's 20-foot ropes that go to the ceiling over there,
which we don't do often.
But I'm just saying, like, you see these things hanging there, right? And you're like, whoa, this is crazy. I'm going to climb up this thing. And you guys do them sometimes. So this is something you could work up to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And there's all kinds of Olympic style barbells and lots of kettlebells and chalk and stuff that if you don't do this thing, you look at and you go, that's like a professional gym, right? Like, people aren't throwing chalk on their hands and getting after it and doing this stuff. So I'm just curious, like, how you navigate it and what kind of what's the right word, attrition rate? Like, how many people come in and stick with it and do it for a while versus like, oh, this is too much for me? Or
we can usually identify the type of person that would stay for long based on kind of their onboarding approach, meaning, if they've taken our fundamentals course and they've done it consistently, meaning, 2 to 3 times and not like spread it out over the month without having to cancel and stuff like that. They also get that month included. And that's the time where we both evaluate how they're going to be consistent with their training. So if they're in and utilizing that first month within their fundamentals package, that's usually a telltale sign that they're going to stick with it. And usually the lifetime of their membership is about year and a half.
Yeah, 18 months.
Yeah.
That's the average across CrossFit generally is about 18 months, and we're trying to get it to be like 3 to 5 years. That's our goal, with which will give us the business model that we're aiming at. And I think the last 6 months for us have really kind of shown that that's possible now, because the culture has finally settled and stuff. But I think even it's a mindset thing. I think that's what Josh is really pointing to, is that people come in and they'll tell you, I am this way. And then you put them under pressure and they are not that way. So that's really it's the ego piece. When you come in the door, what is stopping most people from actually participating is that ego fear, where they're like, that's just not me. I can't do that. I'm not capable. And if you remember what I described at the very beginning is like, CrossFit has taught me fundamentally what my body is capable of, that I didn't understand as a high level athlete throughout high school. Like, those are things you're not taught because you're not pushing your body in ways that you're not used to. But to get over that learning curve and understand my body can do that. I had my coolest case in the gym was this 72-year-old lady who came in. She couldn't step up a curb, like just physically was not capable of picking her leg up high enough to get up on the 6 to 8 inch curb. And we worked with her for 6 months and she was jumping, both legs jumping straight up on that curb. That's life-changing for people. And if we understand that at a fundamental level when you first start, and that's what the whole idea is to maintain that. So that when you're 60, 70, 80, your body is not broken down to the point where you can't move. The whole idea is to keep muscle mass, keep bone density so that you can move at those ages and you have longevity in life. And it's those people, when you can identify somebody's mindset of like, this is my why, those are the people that stay around.
Yeah.
Part of that is our onboarding process is attempting to teach that to people. So when they get here, your why, we can help you reset it if you're willing to buy into the process. And that fundamentals is key for that piece alone.
Yeah. We have talked several times about incorporating, our business and financial literacy and financial stability and insurance, investments, all that with health and wellness and nutrition and that type of thing, right? They have a lot of parallels. I feel like up until I knew you guys, I thought of CrossFit just as like a competitive thing. Is very much like, if you're doing CrossFit, it's because you're trying to compete against other people and you're trying to better and do. That was like the perception I had, right? Yeah. Maybe because I knew a few people who were competitive with it. But it sounds, and I've seen here, it's really more of infusing a tried and true structured method to physical fitness, right? And having a place people can go and do that.
Yep.
So, okay, that is true. But how do you see this impacting people's lives, like outside of the gym, like more than obviously they're building muscle, they're maybe shedding fat or this kind of stuff's happening, but mentally, you hear stories of how being a member here just impacts other areas? And
yeah, I mean, it really starts with their why. When they come in, like I said, 85 to 90% of our membership have started on fundamentals. So they start off doing the one-on-one training sessions, but their first initial consult, the coach identifies their why. Why are they doing this, And a lot of the times it's not because of the things that they want to be able to do inside the gym. It's the stuff they want to do outside of the gym. Stay healthy for their children, be able to, take care of their grandchildren, stuff like that, or be able to keep up with their nieces and nephews and stuff like that.
And the mindset shift too. Like when you have somebody, I always tell the story. When I was coaching at Yorba Linda, I had 14-year-old scrawny little kid come in, and his dad walked up to me. He's like, he needs to get to West Point, which is the military academy. And so he's got all these health things that he's got. I'm looking at this kid, and he looks like your typical band dork, but the kid's mindset was so different than anybody I'd worked with. I was like, oh, we can do this. And so we had a year and a half to train him to get to West Point. And at beginning, everything was hard, but I could see he was motivated to do it. And every time you could see something new click for him, it changed his mindset to now. That was 7 years ago, I think, that I trained him. He's finishing his first 4 years at West Point. He's going into special training to try to be, I want to say, it's some tech-based version with special ops. But he's made it there. He's made himself successful. And he'll tell you a lot of that resilience, that willingness to be uncomfortable a little bit came from our training sessions, because he understood that his body actually could do those things that he was afraid of or that he was scared of or he didn't think he was capable of, to the point where it almost became a detriment at the end for him, because then he'd push so hard that he would end up throwing up on, he's like, I got to get 3 seconds faster, and then end up overworking himself. But all that to say, when you see people like that at his age, take that out into the real world before they have responsibility, that runway for them to then become successful there forward is huge. Conversely, when you have this 70-year-old lady that I was telling you about, her world radically shifts when she doesn't have to worry about falling off that curb or being able to, or having to walk an extra 300 feet to go up the ramp because she can't step up the curb. Like, I don't think people fundamentally understand how disabling that is to your life when you can't just step up a curb. You actually have to take an extra 10, like that's 10 minutes every day you're losing just walking around things. To get all that back and feel like you are able to get better and do things at that age, extrapolate that mindset across business, family, friends, relationships, hardships, struggles. That is the piece that you'll see change people's lives. It's the reason that I'm married with my wife now and the kids that I have now. It's the reason our relationship has fundamentally sustained itself, if not grown, every year since we met. Right?
Resilience.
Like, it just teaches you that, like, hard things build better things. Mm-hmm. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. And so to understand that, I think, extrapolates to every piece of life.
Right. What's that saying that hard times build
strong men,
build good times.
Good times build weak men.
Build weak men.
Yep.
So you just got to keep it that it's always
make it
tough.
hard all the time.
Always. Right? I'm back to the business side of things. I'm curious, like, you're part of CrossFit, which is it's got the HQ, right? The founding original kind of program, and community and culture and stuff is really big within I call it the retail side, but the members, right? How big is it on the operator side? Does CrossFit have a good community culture where the operators help each other and show you the ropes and teach you how to make it through the struggles? And is there mentorship or anything like that?
They offer all of that. Yeah. So we had just hosted an affiliate gathering of West Coast affiliates locally. I mean, as far down as Chula Vista, all the way up to up north, so like San Francisco area. And they all came down, had a forum of owners that talked about, different facets of the business operating. Yeah.
Now, are those owners that come out to something like this, are they kind of the more,
they're the business oriented,
but they're the minority in the total number? Or
I would say those people,
the culture of community and togetherness to members has not completely translated to a culture and community of all the operators.
And I think that comes down to the scarcity mindset of most of those business owners. Like, I got to keep my doors open. So if I talk to somebody else's gym and they're exposed to my membership, they're going to take my members. It's been the most frustrating thing inside of the CrossFit space is that everybody looks at each other as competition versus, like, in the state of California, there's 33 million people. Like, why are we pretending like if they took 2 that all of a sudden your business is going to shut down versus expanding what we're trying to do to bring in more people? That's something we at the forefront, we're like, we want to be the people who are the catalyst for these conversations as much as we can.
Givers get.
Or have a challenging conversation about why it has to be that way.
Yeah.
Because when I had started in this space, I was always like, why are they feuding? Who is
the gyms all in Anaheim were like, it was like a soap opera. Everybody, it was like the single family divorce led to like 6 gyms, and none of those gyms got along with each other.
Huh.
Yeah.
So I think scarcity mindset, right? Limited beliefs.
Yep. But I think that's changing as everybody becomes more business oriented. Then it changes to the fact is like, oh, we can actually help each other run a better business. Versus the other way around. So I think that's shifting.
Yeah, well, if you can continue to bring people together who are like-minded and want to do that, then you can start to influence people who are maybe on the fence, right? I'm sure some of those business owners are kind of like, I don't know, is it a good or a bad thing to share? And they don't really know, and then they have an experience with someone like you, and they go, oh, it is okay. I can share, right? Like, we can all kind of swim in this pool together.
And you'll see a certain group moving forward, and the other one is going to be stagnant where they are. And you pick which pool you want to swim in.
Now, speak to the competitive side then a little bit. Like, I'm sure when you go to these games, you want to claim the spot as the gym, right? Like, you want CrossFit Anaheim to have a representation where they won. I see some of the banners that are out there, like when you've placed in these different competitions. In that arena, when the contest is going on, is it like, you're all my enemy, we're here to win and we're gonna like take that top spot, or how's that attitude?
Those events are actually better culture most of the time. I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah, these are all local events. I mean, we're all going out, just like we're all training for a local 5K or a local 10K or a marathon, or anything like that.
And you'll see it too, like even at the games or at the open events that are launched, like you'll see athletes at the highest level stop and celebrate the other athletes. It's really the business structure that has the conflict. It's not even like members from those businesses, because most of the athletes, even if they own the business, they support the people while working out.
Yes.
They just, it's when we're talking business that there's conflict.
Right.
But I think that like at those events, at least for us, our goal necessarily isn't to win the event, I would say. Our goal is to have people look at our athletes and go, they move really well. They hold themselves to standard. They clearly are taught and coached in a way that is more important than the physical output side, because that's our ethos in the gym is longevity. And so if you're doing things the right way, you're moving the right way, you're going to have that longevity, and people are going to notice it be different because you're not sacrificing things to be faster, better, stronger. Because most of those local competitions are not the people going to the games. Those are people going out to have fun, and that's like rec league softball. I love it, but I'm not going crazy over it, you know? It is there for the community to go around people who are doing similar things that are hard and celebrate those wins than it is to take home the championship. And there are blended people in that pool, as there are in any pool, that take it too seriously. But I think overall, those are some of the greatest community events that go on.
Yeah. Well, speaking of community events, I will say that if I'm invited to join again, last year I did the turkey trot.
All right.
I finished last of last of I don't know how many members, and
You're
I
about to jump on the bike.
have a competitive bone in my butt. I will not finish last. I may not finish
You
first.
would not have finished last if you knew what and how to work the rower more effectively,
Now,
because
that-
you are way too big to pull the way you were pulling.
Well, that might be true. I also chose to lock in at like the professional level of reps and weights and jumps and everything. So I did like the top tier, and I did every rep. I did not end early. I would
Did
say
not end early.
there were a couple of people who
Yep.
probably should have chosen a higher rank and been in my realm, and I maybe should have chosen a lower one. But are you guys doing the turkey trot again?
Yes.
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 Yeah. We are
Tell me a
doing
little bit
that,
about turkey trot. What's
Saturday,
going on with
November 29th. We're changing up the format just a bit. We're now offering 3 different divisions. 1, you can run as an individual. 2, you can run as a pair. That's 2 mixed or same gender. And then 3 as a flock. Get
Flock
it?
of turkeys.
Flock of turkeys. Yeah, so that's 3 to 5 racers, and then you guys just tag in and out, dividing and conquering.
And that's open to the public. So anybody who wants to do that.
So break it down. Turkey trot is on Thanksgiving Day, right? Early in the morning. Is it?
No.
No,
Turkey
this year
trot
we
is
moved it
we
Saturday
moved
now.
it to Saturday. Yeah,
Okay.
just so we can have.
We did it last year on
okay.
Thanksgiving.
Last year, Thanksgiving Day. You felt a lot less guilty about what you ate that
is
day.
true.
This is true.
I mean,
But-
it made for a lot more people working out harder.
yeah, for sure.
People
So
sold their souls.
now basically you're saying just be a glutton on Thursday, Friday let it sit in,
Yeah.
Saturday be ready to run it all off. Right? Okay. So it's on the Saturday following Thanksgiving. It is at what time?
8 a.m.
8 a.m.
Yeah.
Is it at Angel Stadium again?
It is.
Correct.
All
Runs
right.
around the stadium.
Right in front of the 2 big helmets?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Same format.
5K.
Yeah, similar workout
these
stations.
people don't know the format. What's
yeah.
the format?
So yeah, you'll start on a station, and then you'll run around the stadium, and then you'll come in, do another station. It's a
Stations are
set-
individual workouts. by
Yeah,
the way.
individual workouts, be it a rower, squats, stuff like that. So
And they're all foundational, so it's not you're not out there doing like a bar muscle up or anything crazy. It's like burpees, med ball slams, rowing, biking, those kinds of things. So yeah, 5K. Every lap around the stadium is about a K. So you'll do 5 total laps with a station each, and then finish. And then this year we are connecting it to charity. So part of the fees that you pay to enter will go. What's the foundation called again?
DTSA Feel Good Events.
Out of Santa Ana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they'll be gifting students and their families of Anaheim High School as well as South Junior High.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then
And what's the entry cost?
They range from $90 all the way up for the flock, which is $170, I believe. Yeah.
For 5?
Yeah.
up to 5, yeah.
Up to 5.
Yeah, up to 5.
Yep. Cool. And it's, again, open to the public. So anybody who chooses to want to be there that day, you can reach out to Matt. You can reach out to us directly at info@CrossFitAnaheim.com. But it's open to the public. Anybody who wants to participate every year can. And then there are typically, we'll put in like a week free trial for the gym if you participate and you're not a member already. Obviously, if you're a member of the gym, there are different benefits that come with it since we're the ones that put it on. So they have other benefits that come through that. But we really want it to be this like pinnacle event every Thanksgiving or every holiday season that gets bigger every year. We do more for charity every year. We want this to be like our pinnacle charity event that eventually is large enough that we can do this inside the stadium portion.
How big is large enough? What do we need for that?
250, 300 participants.
Yeah.
Probably gets us there.
250 to 300. You hear that? Get registered.
Yeah, get registered.
Could we make an audible if you break 300, like leading up to it, and you just go to inside? Or
I'll just break down the gate.
Yeah.
Still, just kick down the fence.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, guys, what is beyond the horizon in your eyes with the gym, personal life? What's something that you just you see in your future, a huge goal or something that you guys are trying to accomplish that might seem far-fetched, maybe even you're saying it for the first time here, that is just that something you want to set that's further out than you've really ever thought of, or maybe you have been thinking of it, but you haven't said it out loud, or what's the big thing?
I would just stick to the goal of what we had in the beginning, which is
what is it?
0.03 of the Anaheim population, which ends up being
1,100.
1,100. But I mean,
1,100 members.
1,100 members, but that doesn't include people in the gym. Right. So people participating outside.
Hybrid models.
Yeah, hybrid models, or working from, like corporate offices and corporate gyms, stuff like that.
Yeah. My, I guess, beyond the horizon is related to the gym, because obviously that's a goal that we set out. I have some changes in my personal life that are going to be taking me away from as much operational control as I did before. But the end goal for everything that I'm doing would be that there's enough revenue coming into me personally that the gym doesn't actually have to worry about its finances at all. That it could just be a place that becomes fun, runs as a business, is as self-supporting as possible, but that it never has to worry about the doors closing for any reason whatsoever. And that my staff can be, placed in a position where they can make this a career versus having to split their days supporting their families. So there's some other things in the background and that have a relationship with the changes in my personal life to reorganize myself in a way that allows me to build and invest in my skill set to support Josh in the gym outside of the way that the business already is. A lot of that is tied with you guys, and there's some other things outside that we're talking about that aren't necessarily AE or PE related directly, but my goal is to leave a footprint and a legacy on this earth that touches as many people and elevates what opportunities or access they had. And a lot of that comes through the footprint of CrossFit Anaheim.
Do you guys see yourself exiting, selling the business, having a big exit? Or is that
eventually? Yeah. It's one of those things where we have to build it in order to, like, if we were just to say, in order to sell it right now, like if anything comes about, we need to just have a plan, regardless of if it's now versus later. You always got to have it as a business. I mean, the idea of having an attachment to something, you'll always, have the attachment. It could be more towards the community than the business itself, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think in terms of exit, the exit looks like not having to do anything with the business. Whether that means selling off, I don't know, or whether that means handing off, I don't know. Because there's always an exit number. It's the biggest thing that I think everybody should keep aware of if you run a business is you need to have an exit. If somebody comes along today and says, here's this amount of money, you should have an exit number to walk away. But outside of that, I think for me, it's a matter of I don't want to be dependent on to run the business forever. So what that exit looks like is either selling out of that position or allowing somebody to take my position to now run what I was running and what Josh was running so that he can actually just work out and not care how the business is doing. Somebody else is running the business. Josh just gets to enjoy the fruit of his labor.
That's awesome. So let's say someone is struggling. They own a gym. They're maybe thinking of expanding or moving or shifting buildings, like some of the struggles you guys have made it through on the other end, is there any advice that you'd give them, like before you make this move, anything that they should be doing, evaluating, they're listening to this, it gives them an epiphany or the next choice before they make that call?
I mean, I think everything that we did in terms of talking to many different advisors, different mentors that just looked at the hard numbers and said, yeah, I mean, this seems like, a viable risk. Like it's a mitigated risk. You guys should take advantage of it.
Yep.
Can they call you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, any
If you
advice,
want our help.
any advice is good advice. I've
been known to
people
have
have gone
opinions.
through. So yes, Kody has opinions.
No, I would say understand what changes are needed. Be vulnerable enough to explain those places where you need help.
Yeah.
And then be willing to accept the help if people are willing to offer, and then make decisions on the help. The biggest thing is, and I think Josh would say, make decisions.
Yeah, make decisions, but also look at the numbers. Like, if there's anything that I've learned through this is understanding both sides. Yeah. Both sides, both emotionally and
right.
And
the being vulnerable part strikes a chord with me. I think that's very challenging for people who own a business to do, is to get vulnerable and allow that degree of transparency that needs to happen.
I will tell you about all of my mistakes. And there's a book could be written on that. But I'm hoping the book about the achievements is bigger than the book of the mistakes.
I will purchase many of your book.
All volumes.
I think he could write the book on your
Probably.
mistakes, right?
Probably, yeah.
So
between both of my marriages, between him and my wife, I think they could probably write separate, but it would kind of be like the Bible where you just have all these different perspectives of what's going on, and then you can culminate it into one mission statement of what not to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you guys, it was a great talk. I appreciate you being on here and letting us chat it up. Guys, if you're listening to this and you want to burn off all that excess calorie you consume on Thanksgiving, join us at the Turkey Trot. Where do they go again? Just CrossFit Anaheim. You can register there. All right.